Hello, everybody. Uh, I'll try to limit the glare. Uh, I'm good that some of you noticed that. Yeah, I had to do things a little bit earlier today. I hope that's not a problem, which means that today's stream will go from 3 to 4, and then the game stream's gonna go from 4 to 5. So I hope that's okay. I hope some people show up. But how's everyone doing? Hang on, I'll be back. I gotta turn something on. How do we use that? Maybe that'll help. Currently purchased, installed the. Wait a second, Boda. Did you buy them separately or did you buy them individually? Because I actually tried to find the DLC for Rising Tides, and apparently it's not even on yet. Like, I already purchased Echoes of the Fallen. I didn't purchase the double pack because I didn't know when Rising Tides, but apparently I can't even purchase the second one, so I'm gonna have to do it sometime tomorrow when I get back. Vamp, I'm doing okay. Thanks for asking. Have I played Painkiller? I've never heard of that. And how are you doing, Sean? How are you doing? I'm rewatching Death Note. Okay, that's cool. I haven't really had too many things to rewatch. I will say this: one of the hardest challenges I've had recently is just finding recent content to upload. I keep having these creator blocks, and I'm trying to upload quality over quantity. Like, I'm not sure if you guys saw, I uploaded my first YouTube short, and I was just as a test, just to see if somehow, some way the Versus series could continue in a small sense in there. Like, hardly anyone saw it, so I knew not to try that again. But got another video. I appreciate the ideas. It's just I'm not sure those are. I'm trying to come up with idea. Okay, Vamp. I think you're the one who recommended the Linkin Park songs. Here's the problem. I'm not even joking. The list would just be the entire album Meteora. Like, I stated that. Like, it literally would just be all 10 songs would just be Meteora. Like, I mean, maybe I would take. No, I wouldn't even take that off. Songs like Don't Say, literally, there's 13 songs on here. The top 10 would be this album. If I'm generous enough, maybe I'll take one off just to add In the End from Hybrid Theory. But this album is literally what the top 10 would be. Literally. So I'm not sure if a top 10 Linkin songs video idea is a good idea, because it would just come from one album. So you bought the overall one, okay. Did I hear that Keanu Reeves is confirmed to be the voice of Shadow? Yes, I heard. I'm happy. I'm fine with that. I think that'll give it. I think that'll definitely bump up things a little bit more, because I think Shadow's a complex character. Even I don't know too much about. I know the basics about Shadow, so I'm curious how that's going to work. But it seemed to work out pretty well for Knuckles, because no one really knew much about Knuckles, and they handled Knuckles pretty well. So I'm pretty sure they'll handle Shadow fairly well. The squirrel chewing on the wires again, and my internet is out. Damn, that sucks. Did the then do a Meteora songs ranking video? I'll think about it, because they just released a somewhat greatest hits, called Paper Cut, I believe, and I thought that was just okay. I think this is kind of desperate. You just take and believe it or not, they had it was most of that song was just Hybrid Theory and Meteor, as I thought it was, and they threw in one extra song from like the prior albums just to mention them. But it was primarily just mainly the first two albums. So I was just like, this isn't really an album. It's like a greatest hit, but like they recognize that their greatest hits was their first two albums most mainly. So, hey, what's up, Zach? How are you doing? Disappointed we won't be seeing Dead Space 2 remake for a long time. I hope we don't get a Dead Space 2 remake. We don't need one. We don't need one. If they want to like re-release and remaster it, I'll support that because the game's fine just the way it is. It doesn't need to be remade. How would I describe Persona 5 in 2 words? It's an improved masterpiece. Because I already love the original Persona, and like Persona 5 Royal cranked it up to being in my favorite video game. It cranked up a 9 to like a 10. I think Persona 5 was like a 9.5. And Royal added some like additions and some improvements and some story expansions and a much better soundtrack and like forced it into a 10. Like kind of similar to what I would say Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition or Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition. It took 9 and 9.5s. It added just a little bit of extra content, a little bit of story, some slight gameplay improvements, and it pushed it into the 10 department. Shadow is a lot more complex than Knuckles. I'm sure. I don't know too much, but I just know the basics. So, any favorite big battles in movies like the Battle of Geonosis from Attack of the Clones? No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say I have any battles like that. What's my favorite weapon in Rise of the Tomb Raider? What I guess the bow. Because the bow has so many uses. Like, you could use it, like, I think it has the most upgrades and has the most, like, different types of arrows. Like, you have basic arrows, you got stealth arrows, you got armor-piercing arrows, you got fire arrows, you got exploding arrows, you have a harpoon arrow. It really is a universal weapon. So I would say when you modify the bow to the max, I would probably say the bow. You should upload more shorts. Shorts are a good way to get more views on YouTube and boost. Yeah, but I don't know what to do shorts on. Like, I've heard that before, but, like, what do I do shorts on? Like, do I just take my phone, just record, like, a small video, and then just say some random stuff, and is that how you do shorts? Because all I did was I saw, like, a couple of these short verses, and just thought I would just make just a random one out of nowhere, and surprisingly it took like a bit of time to make. It took me like a day to actually do it, and then when I uploaded, like not many people saw it, so I was just like, okay, I've heard the theory that shorts get more views, but like I'm not really seeing it, so I don't know what to do shorts on. So that's the thing. Like I guess they're simple because I would just take my phone and be like, I would just say some random stuff and then upload it, but like, on what? That's the question. Like, an idea without a direction is, like, destined to fail. Joke question. Do you think you could kick... No. No, because I couldn't use the Blades of Chaos. I couldn't use them. So, the Blades of Chaos would not work for me. The first two albums are the only ones people care about. I know. I mean, I guess you'd find some people that are into Minutes to Midnight, but like honestly, after the first two albums, I would say once they were like commercially popular, that's when their popularity started going down. And by One More Light, like yeah, you're gonna have a lot of diehard fans. Don't get me wrong, but like commercially, like Linkin Park is just it just wasn't they just weren't popular that much anymore. Like, and with Chester Bennington not being here anymore, like that's, you can't really do anything with the band anymore. I'm sorry, like I mean, there have been I know there have been examples where you've been able to kind of replace the lead singer, but like a lot of bands, like they did that early on, but like it's hard to replace like. Some bands have tried it, but they've never been as successful. Like I know Queen did it, But like, I don't know who that new guy is. I think he's from like American Idol. But like Queen, as old men, they were never really as popular as they were with when they were for Freddie Mercury. So, you know. Describe Rise of Tomb Raider in 2 words. An incredible adventure. That's what I would say. Boda wants to know, what are my favorite moments in each of the 3 films in Toy Story? I think the flying scene in the first one. I think in the second one, I think my favorite would have to be the part when Rex beats Dirge. No, I think that's what his name is. Sir, it was like Surge. It was someone. It was like Zurge or something like that. I think when Rex beat him. And then the third one, I would say it's when the aliens saved the toys from being like burned with the claw. I think those are my favorite moments in each of the films. Because I really thought the toys were going to burn. I really thought that, like, the way it was going, I was like, that would be, like, a sad way, because that's how a lot of toys end up. I really thought that was going to happen. That would have been a sad ending. But, like, if that was going to be the last Toy Story, like, maybe, you know, not all stories have happy endings. So, yeah. This is probably a long shot, but do you think you'll ever do a tier list video on Yu-Gi-Oh! GX characters? I didn't really watch GX. I really didn't. So I'm not sure I could do that. I've seen 5Ds, but I don't really know every character outside of the main cast. I think like old school Yu-Gi-Oh! I've rewatched the first, I'd say, 4 seasons. A minimum of, I would say at minimum, every single episode, at minimum 30 times. Like, I can rewatch any of the first 4 seasons. I don't even bother with the 5th. GX, I only saw like a few episodes. I couldn't get into it. 5Ds, I've only seen probably each episode at least once. I did like one watching of GX just to get some ideas on how to build a proper synchro deck, and I've built 2 of them, I think. Maybe, yeah, 2. Yeah, I've built 2 synchro decks, and that was about it. But I wouldn't say I know the cast all that well. Which boss fight do I like more? Krauser from Resident Evil 4, Wesker from Resident Evil 5. Oh, definitely, I think, wait, which, you mean, okay. That's a little tough. I think I like 5 a little bit more, because it's the final boss. I think Krauser just kind of goes down as like being the primary enemy. Like, for such a tough guy, the best weapon in that fight is the knife, which is so ironic. Would you be able to kick? No, yes, I'm sure I could kick Lightning's ass. Yes, I'm sure I could. It wouldn't be easy. It'd be easy. Hello, Boom. How you doing? Which video game villain group would I choose to be in? I wouldn't. I wouldn't fit in. Why do I hate versus questions? I hate versus questions because I'm done with the versus series. I haven't done one. I haven't done that in 2 years. Like by the time I was done with it, no one was watching it anymore, and that was a clear sign that people weren't interested. And you know, if they're not interested in it, then I'm not interested anymore. I mean, that little short video, it was just a test video. It's just a test video. I mean, it's just, as I had a lot of free time, I was just trying to come up with something to do, so I just tested it out and uploaded, and that was the end of it. If it's true, getting a female singer is already a bad move. I seriously doubt whatever. Look, they should just stop. Linkin Park is dead. It's dead, and it's fine. There are a lot of great bands that are dead. Just stick to the good stuff. Trust me. Meteor and Hybrid Theory, those albums are 20 years old, and I still go back and listen to them. Like, trust me, if you have a great album, people will always listen to it. Even take something like Thriller, Michael Jackson's Thriller. Thriller is like almost 40 years old now. Like, I think it'll turn 40. Wait, no, I take it back. It is 40. The album's over 40 years old, and people are still listening to Thriller. Like, trust me, if you have a truly great album, people will always go back and listen to it. You'll always have a new group of people discover it. So, like, they don't need to put anything else out. It's Zurge. Okay, yeah, I knew it was something with a Z. Have I played Marvel's Moonlight Suns? No, I have not. Do a top 5 DLCs and co-op games. Okay, co-op's not a bad idea. Okay, I think about co-op. Co-op might be tough, but I think co-op that's a good idea. Do I enjoy swimming and diving? Yes, but I haven't been in a pool in a long time. But I do know how to swim and dive. I mean, not technically diving, but like standard diving. But I don't know, maybe one day if I'm brave enough, I'll try some like light scuba diving. And Zach wants to know, so you got any thoughts about the Battlefront Classic Collection? I've heard all these problems, but I think all these problems are only valid if you try to play the multiplayer online game. But I haven't touched those. I have stuck strictly to solo campaigns and solo playing. And in that case, I've not had any issues. Sean wants to know, why do I hate DMC? I hate that game because it shouldn't exist. It shouldn't exist. There's no point. There was no reason to make that game. Devil May Cry was not in a bad spot after Devil May Cry 4. The only complaint I've ever had with Devil May Cry 4 is that you're basically playing the game forward as Nero and backwards as Dante, and it is a hell of a lot easier playing as Nero than Dante. That is it. That has been my only complaint about that game. So why would you want to give this franchise to a studio and have them make this experimental mess? That's my problem, is that it just shouldn't exist. You know how I've asked you a bit ago if you'd make a video on Resident Evil Remake, but you talked about it enough? Why? What don't you like? Okay, here's an in-depth problem. The gameplay mechanics do not make it feel like Resident Evil. That is the problem. It feels more action focused than 4, 5, and 6 ever were. I don't like the story. I don't like the characters. I didn't like the voice acting. It just flat out did not feel like Resident Evil 4. Now, I understand that there's a lot of people that disagree, but trust me, as someone who has recently been playing Resident Evil 4 OG, I simply had to play the demo of the remake, and I instantly saw the direction they were going, and I knew I wasn't going to like it. Because immediately after playing the demo, I played the original for like the 100th time, and I was like, okay, the remake feels wrong, the OG feels right. And that's a perfect game to me. That is, right now, my 5th favorite video game of all time. Had I played the remake, I would have given that game like a 5 or a 6, being nice. And to go from your 5th favorite video game to a game that you only play once and you never want to play again is a serious downgrade. So, like, that's my problem with the remake. And it seems like they're targeting, like, they're remaking all my all-time favorite games. And it's in a pattern. It feels weird. Why didn't I play Assassin's Creed Mirage? Because I'm done with the Assassin's Creed franchise. I do not feel like playing any more new ones. I think I'm done with the franchise. I think the last one I was able to complete was Odyssey. And that was about it. And I loved Odyssey. I think that's the last one I really enjoyed. And I tried playing Valhalla, and I couldn't finish it. I just couldn't finish it. I played the game for like 20 hours. I was like, yeah, this story ain't working for me. Combat's not working for me. I just didn't want to finish it. And I knew Mirage wasn't going to help. Would you consider Kingdom Hearts a hack and slash more than an actual RPG? It's more of an action RPG. So you can have it be a hack and slash and an RPG. You can mix those. You still enjoy the Versus series? I appreciate them. There's 40 videos that people can enjoy all the time. And surprisingly, I still get people commenting on those. And that's nice. But heck, I'm ready to move on. But again, if we get to 90,000, I will do a 7th season. I won't have fun doing it, but just to say thank you, I'll do a 7th season. And I already have the matches all lined up, so there. This is literally a joke question, but if Christopher Nolan were to direct a film trilogy based on any video game franchise, which of these three franchises do I think he would tackle? Bioshock. That's what I would think he would tackle. Yeah, Bioshock. I think he could do some work with that. Would you have any advice to give filmmakers in this generation moving? No. I'm not a filmmaker. So I would not be the right person to give advice to because I don't make films. Okay, Boda just that was weird, but okay. You was actually listening to Thriller the other night. I mean, see exactly like if you have a really great album, people no matter how old will go back and either you'll go back and you'll re-listen to it, or you'll have a younger generation actually discover it and fall in love with it. I mean, there's a lot of people who are fans of Michael Jackson who were born after he was dead. I mean, they're kids now, but like they're discovering Michael Jackson and enjoying it. So like if you have a truly phenomenal album, like it'll last forever. And I feel like Hybrid Theory and Meteor will do that. Have I seen the prequel reboot Planet of the Apes movies? Yes, I've seen the original three. I don't think I'll see this new one. I don't think I need to. I think it was a solid ending with the last one, but this, from what I've seen with the trailers, I'm not interested in this one. They fixed the multiplayer with the patch if you want to try it. I've never wanted to try the multiplayer. That's the thing. Battlefront. I have even back in 2005 when that game came out. I never tried playing multiplayer. I've never tried it. I've never needed to play it. I've had just as much fun playing that solo than I ever would on multiplayer. Trust me, there are some games that I never need to touch the multiplayer, and I have just as much fun. What's the mystery game? You'll find out, but it's an amazing game. I hate the gunpowder system in Resident Evil Remake. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds awful. Any pop, rash, metal, music, etc. that I have as guilty pleasures? Not that I know of. I mean, yeah, not that I can think of. I barely played the Resident Evil Remake anymore, and you know how I feel about the OG. Perfectly understandable. Leon and Resident Evil Remake looks like Robert Pattinson. I mean, he looks like a zombie. Like, he looks like he's just depressed and too serious. And they turn him into John Wick. I'm like, man, just leave things alone. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Does Batman no-kill rule tend to frustrate me? No, not really. I think it just depends on which variation that you have. I mean, you go to Keaton's Batman. That Batman had no problems killing people. Look at Val Kilmer and George Clooney's. Kilmer technically killed Two-Face, so he didn't have a problem there. So I think it just depends on which variation. There's definitely been some variations of Batman that have a strict no-killing policy, and there have been other people who have been Batman that have killed people. I mean, so you can't say just Batman no-kill policy frustrate me because that policy is not universal. You have to be specific on which Batman you're talking about. Which Lord of the Rings character would I choose to be? I don't know, probably Legolas, I guess. I don't know. He seemed nice. Would you like to see a remake of Metal Gear Rising? No. No remakes. Don't need a sequel at this point. No remakes. Don't need it. If they want to remaster it and re-release it, I'm fine with that. The game is just fine the way it is. They do not need to change anything. If you played these games, which would I prefer? Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor or Middle-earth Shadow of War? I haven't played either of those games, so I can't say. Would you prefer Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Undertaker to appear? Well, it should have been Stone Cold, but like The Undertaker showed up, that was fine. I heard it was a money issue with Stone Cold, so that's the issue, but that's unfortunate. But heck, you got the same result. Am I good at speaking with different accents? No, I'm not. In case you didn't understand with what I meant, the OG Resident Evil is my favorite game of all time. Yeah, I knew that. That's why I said it. I understand that. It's not my favorite game of all time, but I'm aware it's yours. But, you know, that's fine. There's 4 other games I would pick over Resident Evil 4. What's one thing you would change about The Dark Knight Rises? I would actually make it very clear that Batman's dead. I would have straight up killed him. I would not have made it obscure or for him to pop up at the end. I would have just flat out killed him. I really want Metal Gear Rising on modern consoles. I do too, but heck, my PlayStation 3 works just fine, and it's still an HD console, so I can still play Resident Evil. I can still play Metal Gear Rising anytime I want. And I think in some cases you might be able to play it on PlayStation Now, maybe, which is like the streaming service that no one uses anymore. But the remake of Resident Evil 4 is my second favorite, by the way. I'm glad you had fun with it. What is one movie trilogy where you think the third film entry is the best? The prequel trilogy. The prime definition. Phantom Menace, I think, was good. Attack of the Clones was okay. It had a lot of problems. But Revenge of the Sith is definitely the best of the trilogy. And to this day, it's still my favorite Star Wars film of all time. And it's in my top 10 favorite films of all time and most watched films of all time. I would even go so far as say there's a good chance, if I really think about it, that Revenge of the Sith is at least in the top 7. I don't think it would go. I'm not sure I go higher than it, but it's certainly in the top 7. If I really sat down and thought about it, would I want? How would you want the ending of Interstellar to play out in my head? I would have ended it right when they went into the black hole. That whole fourth dimension thing was where the movie lost me. It was like, okay, this movie is good. It's great. It's getting good. The ending's good, great. Oh, I see what they're going to do. He's going to fall into the dark hole, but that's going to give him enough energy to send the signal back to Earth so they know how to fix their problem. And I was like, okay, if the movie ends right here, this is a great ending. No, it went on for like another 15, 20 minutes. And I was just like, oh, man, you added this whole fourth dimension thing and didn't work for me. I was just like... It's like if Nolan was flying this plane, he's like, okay, you managed to make the landing, but for some reason you accidentally pulled up the landing gear, and you technically landed the plane, but you caused some damage to the plane, and now this plane isn't flyable anymore. You didn't kill anybody, you landed the plane, but like, the plane is no longer usable. Which is why I've never rewatched Interstellar. I've only seen that film once. It's like, oh, this is a good film, but the ending just... Put it this way. It's my least favorite ending of any Nolan film. Like, even more so than Tenet. And I think I thought Tenet had Tenet had a good ending. You just have to watch that film multiple times to really understand it. And I need, like, a map that kind of explain, okay, where are certain characters at certain points? I saw, like, a diagram of, like, where certain versions were at different times, and once I saw that, I was like, okay, I think I understand this movie a lot better. Favorite movie of the 1920s and 1960s? I have no idea. I don't think I've ever seen. Does The Wizard of Oz count? I don't know. What's my favorite scene in Spider-Man 2? Probably the second Spider-Man Dr. Octopus fight. I think that whole scene is phenomenal. What's my favorite Bully Maguire meme? I'm not aware of any. I know that is a meme, but I can't name a specific one. Do I play any of the WWE 2K games? No, I've never played a WWE 2K game. I think I've only played 3 WWE games, and I think I own 1. I've played 06, 07, and 2010. I think 2010 is the last wrestling game I've ever actually played. Favorite puzzle? Favorite puzzle in what? Like, in what? You gotta be specific. Do I like Titus? Yes, I like Titus. I think he's a great character. I don't know what the hate is. I mean, he had some real issues that I understood. So no, I like Titus. He's fine. Have I played any WWF WWE games? Okay, I think I just answered that. um, yeah, I've played. And which one was my favorite? Probably '06, I guess. That's the one I remember playing the most on PlayStation 2. Thoughts on Terminator Genesis? Oh dear. I thought it was fine. I thought it was interesting how it's the only one where Arnold technically doesn't die. All the other ones he dies in, so it had that going for it. It's a major step over Dark Fate. Any favorite Batsuit? I would say his Batsuit from Arkham Knight's probably my favorite. Yeah. Yeah, Arkham Knight. SmackDown vs. Raw '07 is a solid wrestling game. Yeah, I think so too. I just don't remember. I just remember '06 a lot more. Favorite jigsaw puzzle from childhood? I don't remember playing. I certainly don't remember playing with too many jigsaw puzzles. I was more of a Game Boy fan, so I can't think of any jigsaw puzzles. I can't even remember the last time I worked on a jigsaw puzzle. Have I ever had any other movie experiences like I did with The Dark Knight? I mean, going into and thinking it was going to suck and turn out to be a masterpiece. No, nothing like that. However, I do remember seeing, I think this has happened, it happened 2 times, almost a third. There are 2 movies where I went in there and I literally was the only one in theaters and I had a good time. And the third time, I thought I was the only one, but one other person came in, and it was literally the worst movie I'll ever see in my life, and it still is. But I almost had that movie theater to myself. But yeah, trust me, having a whole movie theater to yourself on opening weekend is an interesting experience. But it's happened to me twice. Out of these 3 Pixar films, which one has the funniest bloopers? Bugs Life, Toy Story 2, or Monsters, Inc.? Ooh, that's tough. I'd take Toy Story 2, take that out. Ooh, that's a tough one. I gotta go with Bugs Life. The bloopers at the end are still pretty cool. Am I talking about movie 43? Yes. I almost had that movie to myself, but there was one other person in there, and I literally spent like half the film screaming, and the other guy he just kept saying "let it out," like, so he didn't care that I was screaming through the whole film because I literally had the movie wouldn't. I don't know what it was going in. Like even on the poster, all the promotion was saying was, "What is movie 43?" I don't know what movie 43 is. I just know that whoever directed this film had to have blackmailed like half the cast because half of these actors had no business being in here, and the ending was so weird. I've only seen this happen in one other movie where it seemed like the actors flat out stopped. Flat out, like during the film, they literally said, "Okay, stop. This is too stupid. I'm not doing this anymore." And they kept that in the film. We're seeing an actor literally quit, and they kept that in the film. I've only seen something like that happen, but it was in the bloopers. But it wasn't even bloopers. It was like an intake of an outtake. And it was for a film that I don't want to mention because if I say it, people are going to be like, "Oh my God, you saw that film." I didn't mean to see this film. It just was kind of on, and I was just so confused of it at the time. So, yeah. What things would I have changed about the Suicide Squad Joker to be iconic in the right way? I don't know. I don't know. That Joker was weird. I don't know. Favorite board game would be Monopoly. Movie 43 feels like it's trying to be bad. I I don't know. It felt like I don't know what it was trying to be. Because how could you like I understand if it was like a movie filled with like a bunch of B-list or C-list actors, I could understand that. But like you literally have like Oscar-winning actors, or Hugh Jackman won an Oscar the year that movie came out. I was like, what are you doing? Favorite card game would be Yu-Gi-Oh. Did you see the comedy horror film Scary Movies? Yes, I did. Really like the first two. The third one was okay. I think I saw the fourth and the fifth one, but I don't remember them. But I do know the first two are the best ones. The third one's fine. Damn, so you actually filmed the actors breaking character? Yeah, I'm not kidding. Dennis Quaid literally stopped during the middle of the film, at least in my playthrough of it, and he literally walked off the set. The only time I'd seen something like that was they were playing. I'm not going to say what the movie is, but they were playing these. Like, I don't know if the actors knew they were being recorded, but like they were like on the site and they were just talking about how stupid it was that they were in this movie. Like, I don't know if that was done intentional. I don't know if they knew the camera was on them. But, like, they were self-aware of how stupid the movie they're in is. And that the fact that they're in it is just stupid. Any thoughts on O.J. Simpson passing away? I didn't know the guy. I have no memory of that case. Maybe he killed his wife. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. I literally have no memory of that entire court case. I think I was 4 years old when that happened. So I have no connection with O.J. Simpson. The only thing I know about him is that he played for the Buffalo Bills. He was a really good running back. He won the Heisman Trophy. That's about it. I hate sequels that ruin perfect endings. Yeah, I agree. Do you remember, what do you remember about SmackDown vs. Raw 06? I know there was a mode called Fulfill Your Fantasy. I don't really remember it too much. I just remember that's the one I played the most, and it had like a really good soundtrack. Like, I think that's what I remember the most about the game, was that it had a really good soundtrack. What's my favorite Tony Scott film? I don't know who that is. Like, I might know his movies, but I don't know who he is. Like, you're going to have to give me some examples. Would you be open to seeing a Dark Avengers team-up, which would include Blade, Ghost Rider, Punisher, and Wolverine? Probably not, because I'm done with Marvel films, so I'm never going to watch another Marvel film again. Like, I'm done with Marvel films. So, hey, what's up, Winter Ghost? How you doing? And we still got okay, this is very funny because last week's stream went by so slow. This one's going by so fast. We have like 20 minutes left. Have I seen Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind? No, but I have heard of that movie. But I've never actually seen it myself. You're good. How's my day going? My day is going all right. I just wish the last 2 days had been productive and I had like a really, really good idea to film. Like, here's something. Like, my channel's supposed to be based off of reactions, reviews, and rankings. Like, I haven't actually had an idea or something to react to in a very long time. And I know 100% that I'm going to review Stellar Blade when it comes out next week. And after that, I'm going to start coming up with a line of retro games and I'm going to start reviewing those. Because once Stellar Blade's out of the way, that my gaming season ends. Jim Carrey's in it. Okay, I know what you're talking about, but I've not seen that film. I know what you're talking about. Not referencing the MCU, just asking if you'd be interested in the concept. Probably not, because I don't like team-up films like that. Unless it's the X-Men, I don't like team-up films. Just too many things to think, too many things to worry about. That's why I like the Nolan films so much. It's like he doesn't need to team, just focus on one character. Did you see that 2003 movie called SWAT with Samuel Jackson, Colin Farrell, LL Cool J, Michelle Rodriguez? Yeah, and Jeremy Renner was the villain for that film, so yes, I have seen that. I thought it was okay. Nothing amazing, nothing incredible. Just I will say this: I think some of these movies try to make cops and SWAT look cooler than they actually are. I've actually seen that show SWAT, and I'm like, I get the feeling that they're glamorizing SWAT, and I don't think a SWAT team gets called out as often as they make that do. They make it seem like SWAT is active like every single day. Like, unless there's a real major problem, from what I've heard, SWAT hardly gets called out. Like, they don't go out and do stuff every single day. That's only for, like, extreme situations. But, like, heck, I live in Vegas, so who knows? Maybe things are far worse than I know. Tony Scott is Ridley Scott's younger brother, and these are the films he directed: Top Gun, Days of Thunder, Enemy of the State, Deja Vu, Taking Pelham, Unstoppable. Okay, well, just from those that you've named, I really can't pick any. I can't pick any of them because I've seen these films. They're okay, but like, I wouldn't say any of those films are great films. I mean, they're okay. I've seen them once. Yeah. I mean, they're just okay. Not amazing. Will you be trying out the new Mickey Mouse game coming out called Epic Mickey Rebrushed? No. No, I will not. Not interested. You guys got anything else? So, Brian, who's the most dangerous in the lore out of these four characters in the OG Star Wars Battlefront? Luke Skywalker, Mace Windu, Vader, or Dooku? Maybe Vader. Maybe Vader, I would say. What do I think is Uncharted 3's biggest flaw? That their villain sucks. I don't know what that lady's name was. I will say this. I'll say this. Okay, I'll say this. I think 3 had the most least impressive villain, and it had the most lackluster conclusion. Like, it was weird. It was it was ridiculous. It was like so Sully gets knocked into this water. Drake jumps in after him. He fires something and it causes the entire city to collapse. And even Sully says, "How the hell did 3 bullets do all this?" I was like, I don't know. This seems kind of excessive. Can I do a top 10 or 5 albums list? You know what? That actually... Okay, let me ask you this, Vamp. Do you want a detailed list, or do you want me to do what I did in my soundtrack video where I just posted? You know what? That might be hard. That might be hard because of copyright. That might be a little tough. I'll see what I can do. Maybe a top 5. I don't know about a top 10 because there aren't that many artists that I enjoy the whole album. There might be like there's some band that there's like they'll have like a specific song or like a couple of songs of theirs that I'll enjoy, but like entire albums, that's a little tough. So I don't know, top 5 album. And I'll try to keep it a little bit more diverse, otherwise it's going to be primarily Michael Jackson albums, so. Okay, Vamp, your list is saved. I'll work on it. probably next Monday when I get a chance to film, because I'm going to be busy at work for the next 4 days. Don't worry, Jimmy. I started my stream a lot earlier, so yeah. Which type of ape would I be? Probably a gorilla, if I had to choose. I think The Lost Legacy has the worst villain. No, because at least that villain was hands-on. Like, that's the thing. That's the thing I like about my villains. I don't like the manipulative type that don't do anything. But that woman literally did nothing, and whoever her second in command was like the person we were fighting. But like, it didn't even have a final boss. Like, it didn't really. Like, that's why I like Uncharted 2 so much. Like, Lazarus was actually a hands-on villain who was like the final boss. And he was kind of tough. Like, that's why I like him over what's his name in the fourth one, which didn't even feel like a boss fight. It felt like a glorified cutscene. Like, Lazarus, that was actually a fight. I mean, look at what happened at Resident Evil. How did Chris and Sheva survive in the volcano? Do you really want to use logic in a video game? You don't bring logic into a video game. That's crazy. I don't know if it's just me, but the final boss felt more like a quick time event than an actual. It didn't even. I would say the fourth one felt like a quick time event. Like, that last fight was. It felt like just a normal beat 'em up with like moving platforms, and it was like it wasn't even the main villain. It was like the main villain's like sidekick. I would like to hear what I have to say about these albums. Okay, so an in-depth one. Okay, I could do that for a shorter list. I think I could do that. Favorite futuristic game? Define futuristic. Like how far into the future? Yeah. Maboom. Tell me, how far into the future? Like 50 years, 100 years? Like, yeah. Any bodybuilders or larger-than-life actors that influenced you to go to the gym other than health problems? No. It's strictly health problems. Do I like God of War Ascension? Yes, I like God of War Ascension. I think it's fine. Which type of villain is more dangerous, the physical or the psychological? That, you can have both. Like, Bane is a perfect example of someone who's both. So, I think the thing is, I think physical villains, they're more direct. Psychological are trying to be more manipulative. But both can be just as destructive. Like, you could say Bane and, like, the Dark Knight, that's more of a physical threat. The Joker and the Dark Knight, that's more of a psychological threat. Like, that's the difference. Another thing I don't like about the Resident Evil remake is that they remove quick time events. I didn't know that. But heck, that makes me dislike that game even more. Like when I found out that Stellar Blade actually had quick time events, I was like, oh my god, this is like the first game in a long time that actually uses quick time events, because I miss those. Not gonna lie, Uncharted 4, whatever his name is, looks like a 10 out of 10 compared to Uncharted 3, whatever his name was. I don't even, see, that's the thing. That's how you know you don't have a good feeling. You can't even remember his name. Favorite Carl Weathers movie and show? Don't have one. I don't think I saw much of him outside of Rocky and Predator. I mean, I think the guy was the lead in a couple films, but I don't know what they were. I think Lazarevich is the only villain in this series who is actually villainous and feels like a massive threat. Yeah, and he had his own army. He had his own PMC army behind him. I mean, the guy was very hands-on, and I respect that. Are there any games you recently played that have entered my 10 out of 10 club? No, nothing outside of God of War Ragnarok. I think that's the most recent one. I think the last two entries would be Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition and God of War Ragnarok. That's about it. Have I watched any classic James Bond films? Yes, I've seen all but a few of them, but a lot of the older ones I don't really remember. I know I've watched them because I binge. I can't remember which Bond it was, but I was able to binge watch them all, and they were all available on like Amazon for like a month. So I was able to watch all of them like over a number of days while I was at work. But like there were like I did a whole list. Like if you want look up my tier list ranking of the James Bond films. I don't think my list has changed because I haven't even I haven't watched the last one, and I don't think I'll ever watch it. I'm not interested. What's my favorite boss in Devil May Cry 4? Probably I forget what her name is, but it was like the flower dragon lady. I think that one was probably my favorite. Don't know if I asked this before, but what Metal Gear Solid villain is the most creative? Creative? That's a tough one. Creative. I'm not sure if they're really creative. But if I had, maybe Psycho Mantis, just because of how that boss fight plays out. Like, maybe him. Personal question: how's my dating life? Non-existent. Non-existent. I haven't been on a date in 12 years. I don't think I've ever even asked a girl out in like 12 years. I'm at the point where, like, I mean, that's the problem with modern dating. If you're not in that, like, make six figures, 6 feet tall, 12-inch penis, athlete, then the average woman here in Vegas is not interested in you. Like, I'll ask this question. How many of you, like, here's the thing. Like, I got into this argument with this one lady that I was getting into discussion with, and she was like, when I told her that I was still living with my siblings, she was like, "Oh, you don't have your own place, you still live with your family." And I was like, you know what, I'm curious, who do you live with? Because quite literally for this generation and most people, I literally do not know a single person who can afford to live comfortably on their own. Everybody I know is either married, living with their significant other, living with siblings, or still living with their parents. I'm curious, are any of you people living on your own? Because even with a 6-figure yearly salary, even people making 6 figures cannot afford to live on their own. And that is crazy. So I maybe like 15 years ago, I would have felt it was really, really bad that I'm still living with my sisters. I'm not living with my parents, so I'm living with my siblings, but like nobody I know can afford to live on their own. So the idea that you would think very little of me because I can't afford to live on my own, like no one can. Like I'm sure there are people who can, but like like no one I know, no one I'm related to lives on their own. Like that's just how it is, which is unfortunate. If I were a musician, which instrument would I want to play? Guitar, bass, drums, or something else? Probably guitar. You've been single for almost 3 years? Heck, that's a lot shorter than me. I have a friend who has his own apartment, and he also feels like it's hard living alone nowadays. If he's managed to pull that off, then he must be struggling, because it's not easy. No, to buy a place, you basically have to sell your soul just for a down payment. It's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Like I'm not doing that whole debt thing. Because here's a crazy thing. Like I don't feel like doing that. That was crazy enough. Like it took my dad dying just to get rid of my student loans. And it was crazy was that my dad went to college when he was like younger than I was at the time. And it wasn't until he was in his like early 60s that he got his student loan paid off. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. You're telling me you've had this student loan that you got in like 1950 something has been following you for 40 plus years, and you just now in your 60s were able to pay it off. That is nuts. That a bill could follow you that long, over decades. That is ridiculous. No, if you had room, would you have your own arcade games? Which one would I want to have? Uh, Probably Mortal Kombat. Like if I ever did afford to get my own place, I would have like one that's like a gaming filming room, and I would definitely add an arcade cabinet in there, like an old school one. And then I would have like a bedroom. So yeah. No, I don't live on my own. What do I like more, singing or dancing? Probably singing, but only to a specific, only if to a few artists. Okay, we got like 4 minutes before the mystery stream starts, and I have a feeling that some of you guys will like the game. Don't know if you kept seeing this, but have I seen my video idea describing a tier list ranking of the econ abilities? Maybe. We gotta see what Leviathan does. Uh, Maybe. I think I did a ranking of the icons, but icon powers that might be a little tough. Are there any video game soundtracks I listen to when I want to relax? Yes, Final Fantasy X too. Definitely Final Fantasy X and X too. There's number of songs in there just relaxing to listen to. Do I have a favorite droid from Star Wars? IG like 99 or whatever his name was. They say renting is throwing money away. That is untrue. You are not paying for maintenance, paying taxes and interest. Very true. However, however my rent just recently went down, so I'm happy about that. Yeah, we got 3 minutes left. So you listen to any Transformers music aside from Fall of Cybertron? There's a couple of tracks in the third film that I thought were really good. If an animal species were to rule this world and become more primitive, which species do I think would be rulers? Probably cats. You get a race of intelligent cats, we're in real trouble. My favorite Linkin Park song is Lying From You. Not a fan of In the End. That was weird. Accidentally turned on my music player. Well then, G-Law, you are a rarity. Because to say you are not a fan of In the End is like saying you are not a fan of Michael Jackson's Billie Jean if you're a Michael Jackson fan. Like, that's like the song of Linkin Park. Like, that's the song that they'll be remembered for 50 years from now. Nothing else. Numb might be a good second. Did I hear about a teaser trailer for Transformers 1 releasing tomorrow? I was not aware of that. My favorite Linkin Park song is From the Inside. Yeah, that's a good one. From Meteora. That's a very good one. Any favorite classical music from the 60s and below? No. Well, you don't like Green Day. No, I don't. But they have like maybe one or two songs I think are okay. But I wouldn't say I'm a Green Day fan. Ugh. Which Final Fantasy game do I think you should have its own sequel? Ooh. Which one could benefit from a sequel? I think six could have a sequel. I think 10-2 could have a sequel. I'd heard rumors for years that a 10-3 might come, but I don't think it'll happen now. But yeah, I would say 6 or 10-2. Those are the ones I would say could get a sequel. You don't like rap? I'm not a fan of rap either, so don't worry. Saying you're a Linkin Park fan but not liking In the End is like saying you're a Disturbed fan and you don't like. Yeah, that is a great comparison. It's like, how could you not like Down with the Sickness? That's a very great comparison. Rap music is very overrated in my opinion. It's probably now, but it wasn't in the 90s or maybe late 80s. Okay, it's 4 o'clock. Give me exactly 3 or 5 minutes, and we will join. And you, hopefully, some of you guys will be able to join me in the mystery game. And I promise, this is one of the greatest video games of all time. Definitely in my top 10 favorite video games of all time. I love it. I fall in love with it every time I revisit it. And even though I'll only be able to play it for about an hour, I hope you guys will have a good time with it. So, Lil Wayne sounds like a robotic cancer patient. Well, I had a girlfriend back in high school. No, it wasn't high school. It was after college whose favorite artist was Lil Wayne. So you can imagine the hours of torture I had listening to that. So yeah. Okay, so I'll see you guys in like 3 or 5 minutes, and hopefully we'll have a good time playing one of my all-time favorite video games of all time that is definitely a member of my 10 out of 10 club. So I hope you guys will see me in a couple minutes, and I will see you guys in a few minutes.